My Lords, I rise to introduce at this late hour Amendment 184 in my name, and I refer to my register of interests as an employer and investor. And I do thank the many noble lords on the Labour benches who have kindly stayed to hear Lords Freyberg and Clement Jones and myself. It's very decent of them. And also the noble minister, the noble Baroness Jones, just now kindly committed to publishing the government's consultation on employment status, which relates very strongly to the amendments that the three of us have introduced in this section. And it's very welcome to hear that commitment. And for me, takes us halfway to what my amendment proposes. The noble Baroness, the minister's focus just now, was on freelancers, while those of the noble Lord Freeberg and Lord Clement Jones were on both freelancers and self-employed. My amendment focuses on protecting self-employed and the so-called middle worker status, in particular for so-called platforms, which I'll elaborate on briefly in a minute. And I do hope to get your lordships out before midnight. I'll do my best. My lords, the government's Make Work Pay document, part of its manifesto, has, as we all know, made various commitments or threats, as we call them on this side of the House, relating to workers' employment status. Some are included in this bill, some are promised for an unspecified future bill or other kind of regulation. But in particular, the employment status of worker, a middle stage between self-employed and fully employed, as just described by the noble Lord Clement Jones, and as decided in the ruling of the Uber case, is to be reviewed, and there is the threat that that category will be tightened or even abolished. And to date, the government has said little else about its future, although in this bill we are discussing now, its Clause 1 on guaranteed hours and its Clause 2, Part 2 on shift contracts both significantly constrain what an employer can agree with an individual holding worker status. It's depressing to note how the government's financial and regulatory policies are already hitting employment, the very topic, obviously, of this bill, not just in traditional areas, such as pubs and entertainment, but also in those advanced sectors where the economy's hope for the future lie. AI, or gene modification, for example, and now in this bill, the platform businesses that drive the gig economy. Take driver platforms. In surveys, 76% of drivers say being self-employed is the key attraction. 60% of them value flexible hours above all else, rising to 72% among working parents. Nearly 9 in 10 use multiple platforms to earn a living, something that would be near impossible if rigid employment frameworks were imposed. And a strong entrepreneurial spirit runs through the sector. 34% already see themselves as entrepreneurs, and 49% aspire to be. Platform companies such as Bolt, who have 100,000 drivers on their books, are currently at sea as to what the rules will be. Will they, because of all this, be forced to offer full employment packages to those who would rather be flexible worker employees? Will this then increase the platform companies' costs and anyway lead to layoffs, as more hours have to be offered to these workers, leaving less hours available to the self-employed? My amendment seeks to get a commitment to a formal review of all of this, and we did just get that commitment from the noble minister, in order to ensure the government stands by its stated intent to consult fully, and I think that word is key, before changes are made. Platforms need to know what future employment categories will be allowed and how they will be defined, because one way or another, all of this will lead to their having to make very significant changes to their platforms. So it's important that the government have a full review and consultation before they decide on their detailed approach. My Lords, platform companies can and must form a leading part of our future economy, just as the noble Lord, the noble Earl of Clancarty, and the noble Lords Clement Jones and others just now explained was the case with freelancers, so it is the case with platform workers. All employers and employees agree that in these areas, flexibility is key, and the government has elsewhere committed to reducing, not increasing, inflexible regulation. This amendment seeks to hold the government to that commitment. Platform employers are investing hundreds of millions in their activities per country, per platform employer in other countries around the world, yet are not doing so here in the UK. One platform company recently contacted me to say that they had withheld £170 million of investment from this country precisely because of this bill and the threats it imposes on them. We are falling further and further behind other modern economies, and it's precisely because ever-increasing taxes and regulation and the threat of more to come from this and future mooted bills. Removing the middle stage worker status would both increase unemployment and deter further inward investment. So, my Lords, my amendment seeks to hold the government to account on its promises, to consult on the expected outcome of this part of the bill, which the noble Baroness the Minister has just done, and to figure out the likely impact carefully in the hope that the most detrimental potential regulations might not be imposed. As we go into the summer break, we already see employment, particularly youth unemployment, plummeting, with the NIC increases, the now very high minimum wage, and the fear created by this very bill, causing employers to hold off further employment. All of this is leading to less and less hiring. I ask this government to have pity on the employer, to have pity on the self-employed, and indeed to have pity on our economy overall, by agreeing to this, I would hope, helpful amendment. Yeah.